Alright guys, Wyatt here, and welcome back to our 12-part Java Lab series. This week we're working on part 2 of Lab 6. We broke this one up into two sections because it took a little bit more time, and we wanted to make it easier to understand. So as a quick recap, what we did last week was we went ahead and we took on the life of a middle school gym teacher. Alright, it wasn't easy, but we made it happen. We read in a CSV file to look at data from a rec team basketball game, and we did that right here. Most of it, we did that in our main. So we looped through, we had a file object, we scanned through the file, we split it up, and then we read all those values out and created an object from there. After we created our recruit object, we created the toString method so that way we could look at every object in the CSV file and have it look as we'd like when we print it right here. And let's go ahead and run that before we get too far ahead of ourselves. So we have it set up to ask us how many players are on the team. If we remember, the answer is 7. Alright, and now we can see the 7 players and all their stats. Alright, that's good. Here, if we want to just look at the file itself, this is what it looks like. The CSV, comma separated file, and look at that. Everything came in as we'd like, ending with Little Ricky, number 17, with 2 fouls, a couple boards, an assist, and 2 points. Alright, so we know we read everything incorrectly. This week, what we're going to be working on is our getter methods and analytical methods. So we're helping Coach this week run some methods to figure out who's the best player on the team. And we're going to do that by first creating some getter methods, which is going to return what they say. So we're going to either return the fouls, the rebounds, assists, or points. And then what we're going to do is create some analytical methods to figure out who our top scorer is, who fouled out, who our top rebounder is, and who had the most assists. All these are going to be accepting the recruit array we created as a parameter. So as you can see right here, this is where we put the recruit object into our recruit array at position I, which we know is going to increment on each loop iteration. This is where we created our recruit array of the size of our team. And what we're going to get started with is we'll do get fouls. Alright, we'll start there, and it's going to return an integer. You know, we're going to change all this. We're going to do doubles instead, just because we can. Alright, so our getter methods, once you understand them, they make sense. And all they're going to do is return what they're getting. So if we're getting the fouls, all we're going to say is public. What kind of variable is it going to return? We said double, and then get fouls. Alright, so that's the name of it. And this method will be called on an object. So what we can say is return. Okay, so we got to say double, and then this dot fouls. Double fouls equals this dot fouls, and then we'll say return fouls. Alright, so this dot fouls refers to the object that it's going to be called on, and we're setting a local variable here called fouls, and that's actually what's being returned. Alright, so if we have, we got Peter up here, we could say, for example, Peter dot get fouls. Alright, and this would return a double. So if we go down a line, well, we should set this equal to a double. So we'd say like double Peter's fouls equals Peter.get fouls. Alright? Now Peter's fouls is going to return a number, and his fouls are 0, so that would return 0. Alright? So we're going to do that again, something similar for our rebounds. Double get rebounds. Alright. And to show you it can be a little bit different, we'll call those the boards. And then this dot rebounds. Alright. So then we're going to return the boards, which are the rebounds that person got. Again, we're going to do something similar for assist. And what we're doing with all this, the reason we're creating all these methods is so that way in our analytical methods we're going to be creating next, we can use these getters to return some data for us, and that's a good thing. Double assist equals this dot assist return this dot assist. Alright, and then let's see here. Oh, well, I guess we could have just returned it like that. Sometimes we don't want to access the object directly, and sometimes the object is private. Either way, getter methods are good practice, and we're all about, like these youth athletes, getting some practice. Alright, so double get points. Double points equals this dot points. Alright, and then return points. Alright, nice. So we created our four getter methods. Nice. Good job. Now what we're going to do is figure out who our top scorer is, who's fouled out, who's the top rebounder, and who has the most assists. So, I know that fouled out is the most difficult one, so we'll save that one for last. Here it tells us we're going to be returning a recruit object. And let's get it started. So, what we're going to say is public, and we're going to be returning a recruit object like we just said. And then our method name is top scorer. And this is going to take in an array, alright, of recruits. So, recruit array, and then we're going to name it team. So, when we call top scorer, we're going to, well, I think this would actually be a static method. This should be a static method, public static recruit, because we're going to be calling it on in the class itself, not on any particular recruit object. So we're not saying, you know, Peter.topscorer, because that really wouldn't make sense. We want to see who in the whole class is the top scorer. So we'll even make a note of that. Static method, because it's a class method, alright? Not called on an object. So these methods above we're calling on objects, which is why we don't have static. So these are our object methods, alright? And here's what we're going to do. So we need to say, so we're going to have our recruit, we're going to have our team that's going to be passed in. This recruit array that we filled down below is what we're going to pass in. And we want to figure out who the top scorer is. So what we need to do first is high scorer. Okay, so we're going to create a variable called high score, set it equal to 0 to start. And what we're going to do is we're going to say if the high score is greater than this high score, then set that equal to our new high score. And what we're also going to need to do is we're going to need a high scorer. That's kind of we're going to need to keep track of who that person is. And here's what I mean by that. So we're going to create a loop and I equals 0 while I is less than the size of our team. Alright. I plus plus. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to say if the first person, so if the first person in this list has more points in this high score, then they are our high score, and we will set that. So if team is in team I, so this is going to be the first person in this recruit array called team. So we're going to, right now we're grabbing that person, and now we can use our getter methods that we created. So if that person dot get points, so now we're looking at their points. If that is more than our high score, then our high scorer is going to be that person themselves. Alright? And that's going to work for the whole thing. So let's say the second person is now the high scorer. Then on the second iteration, team I will be 1. So we'll be looking at the second person in the list. So we'll be looking at Stalby, and we don't know. So the points are the last thing. She got 20. Yeah, boy got 21. I was getting buckets. Jane Shelby got 17. Lola 10. So we expect me to be the high scorer. No big deal. Alright. So now we need to return that. And we're going to say return high scorer. Alright. Local variable may not. Okay, so they're saying there might be a point where this person is never set. So what we're going to do is we're going to set them to start equals team 0. So we're initializing our high score as the first person in this array, which is something similar to what we did when we create the high score. So we just have to set it something to start, and then we go from there. Alright? Oh, also what we need to do is we need to update our high score, because right now high score never changes. It's always 0, right? So if team I.get points is more than our high score, then our high score should now be team I.get points, right? So if that is a high score, then we gotta say that. Alright, so I think that should work. Let's go down here and we'll try this bad boy out. Alright, so let's say we're going to create a recruit object here called HS for our high score equals, and then our method that we created is top scorer. So maybe we'll call this TS for top scorer equals top scorer, and then it IntelliJ or VS Code assumes we want to pass in this array right here, which is true, so it's going to pass in that array. And now we kind of just want to print that out. So system.out.println, we'll say the high scorer is, and then we're going to pass in our top scorer. And now let's see what this guy looks like. How many players are on the team? We got 7 of us out here. The high scorer is Wyatt. Yeah boy, with 21 points. And that's what we looked at before. And that's how we do that one. Similarly, our rebounds and top assists are going to kind of look almost identical. So we can kind of knock those ones out right now. So public static, we know we're going to be returning a recruit object. And we're going to say top rebounder. Alright, and then again, it's going to accept an array of recruit objects that we call team here. You can name it anything you like. Team's good though. So double most rebounds equals 0. So we have to have something that we compare it to. And then we're going to say recruit most rebounder. We'll say recruit with most rebounds. Alright, that's a really long name, but we know what it is. It's weird. Alright, and that we're gonna, like we did last time, we have to set it to the first person in our recruit object, the first person in our team. Alright, and now that we've done that, we're gonna say for an I equals 0, I, as long as it is less than our team, so we say team.length, which we know is 7, but you know, maybe the team grew over the summer, so we don't want to just assume. Alright, and then what we're going to say here is pretty much this again. So if this person that we're looking at on each iteration, if their get points is greater than our most, oh wait, we don't want points, we want those rebounds. Get rebounds. If they have more rebounds than our most rebounds, then we're going to set our most rebounds to that amount. Alright. And then we need to set a recruit object to that person as well. So recruit with most rebounds is now going to be that person. Alright. And then last but not least, we have to return a recruit object. Our recruit object is going to be this guy right here. So we'll say return him or her. Alright. We're going to go straight in. We'll check these at the end. The next one we want to do is figure out who had the most assists. So really, we can just copy and paste this guy and we'll say top assist. Alright, most assist. We'll call him the point guard. And if the first person we're looking at in the array has more assist, then we need to reset our most assist value right here. And then we need to change the recruit array object to link up with the person who has the most assist. And that's who we're returning now. Alright? Okay. And you hope that makes sense. Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of copy and paste this a couple times. Instead of the top score, we're going to say top rebounder. And then this is our top rebounder. And the high rebounder is this person. Similarly, the person with the most assists is going to be the TA. And what you're going to notice is we don't change the parameter that we're passing in to each of these methods. And the reason why is because we want to pass in this recruit array for each one. And when we pass in the recruit array to top scorer, alright, so when we pass it into top scorer, we know that is going to be passed in right here, which then is going to be called team, and then it's going to go through here, and we're going to use that array accordingly. Alright, so let's go ahead and print all this out. How many players are on the team? 7. Nice. So high scorer was ya boy. The high rebounder is Jane Shelby with 17 boards. The person with the most assists. Jeez, I was eating that game. Good day for the scout to be there. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so what we need to do now is we need to create the fouled out method. So the fouled out one is a little bit tricky. Instead of returning a recruit object, we're going to be returning an array of recruits. So everyone that has fouled out, we're putting them on blast. Alright? And we're going to do that right now real quick. Public static, like we said, we're doing an array of recruits, and we're calling this method fouled out. Similarly though, we're going to pass in one array of recruits. We're going to call it team. And what we need to do first is we need to figure out how many people fouled out. So we're going to create an integer called fouled out count. And the reason why we need to figure out how many people fouled out is because that's how many people are going to, that's going to be the size of the array that we return, right? So the first thing we have to do is say for int I equals 0, as long as I is less than our team, then I plus plus. And what we want to say is if team I, if this person on the team dot get fouls, if that equals 5, then we want fouled out to increase by 1. Alright, so that's how we can say that. Okay, so this is going to run through, and then we're going to have our fouled out count after this goes through, because it's going to go through our entire team, right? Each time it looks at each person on the team, it's going to be like, did you get 5 fouls, buddy? If so, we got to count you as fouled out. And now what we can do is we have the size of that array, so we're going to say, we're going to create a new recruit array, and then we'll call them fouled out array equals new recruit, and then new recruit array of size fouled out count. Alright, that's good. So now what we want to do is we're going to loop again and say, and I equals, so I is going to start at 0 as long as I is less than the team length, go through, and after each iteration increase I by 1. So now we want this line, if the person on the team fouled out, they got 5 fouls, then we want to add them to our array of recruits, right? So let's see here, how do we want to do this? So we got to figure out what position we're going to put them in, right? We can't put everyone in the same spot. So what we're going to do is create a variable called int position for fouled out array, another really long name, equals 0. So we're going to start at position 0. And then what we're going to say is, if they got 5 fouls, and we want to add them to our fouled out array, which we have created right here. I'll do some spaces. Alright. So we're going to add them to that array. So fouled out array at this position. And the position is going to be position fouled out array. It's going to be this to start. And then what we want to say is that at that position we want to put whoever met this criteria of getting 5 fouls. We put them in there, and then last what we need to do, well, second to last, we need to increment our position fouled out array value, because we don't want to keep putting them at position 0 every time. Now the next time, we'll put them at position 1, then 2, then 3, and hopefully not all 7 people fouled out, but if they did, we could take care of that. Alright, and then last but not least, we have to return our fouled out array like that, and we have done that. So last but not least, what we need to finally do is we have to create a recruit array, and we'll call it fouled out. Fouled out players, let's call it that, something a little bit different. And then what we're going to say is that equals our fouled out array of recruits. And then last but not least, we want to print everyone in this recruit array out. Let's put them on full blast like we like to do. For int I equals 0. So we're going to loop through this list. We're going to loop through and get each person that's in here, and we're going to let the whole world know they fouled out last game, for better or worse. So let's say system.out.println fouled out. Alright, and then we're going to just print that player. Alright. And we're going to know. We're going to get a good idea as to who's fouling around here. How many players on the team? We got 7. Jose fouled out. Classic. Jane Shelley fouled out. Yep. They got 5 fouls. And then, okay, so only 2 players fouled out. Not bad. Not bad. That's pretty good. Alright, guys. So this week what we did was we worked on some analytical methods using an array for the first time. I know it's a lot. We used a loop to go through the array. We used I as our incrementer, and one thing to remember about that is after each iteration, like I'll show you right here. So each time we go through this whole body, each time we go through this whole thing right here, after that happens, I is incremented by 1. So it starts at 0, like it says here, but then at the end it goes I++, alright? And then it goes through again, and it checks as I less than the team length, and it'll do I++ again, so then it would be 1, then 2, then 3, and then all the way up until it is no longer less than the team length, and that's when it moves on. And we're moving on to Lab 7 next week. Good job to everyone who came out here today. Thank you guys for showing up. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Alright.